What an exciting time in pro wrestling. Tony Khan has made some inspired booking decisions over the past week and a half, and whether those moves were planned all along or if some of them were direct responses to the WWE's recent regime change is hard to say. At the end of the day though, wrestling fans are eating well, and that's really all that matters. Now, to the point of this video. It is no secret that AEW is flooded with savvy young talent and that Tony Khan has actively been cultivating his next crop of stars on an ongoing basis. You can go back to 2019 and see the fingerprints in the soil, and almost any time over the past 3 years to see some of the harvest. With such a fledgling roster, one question has been perpetual. Okay, but when is it this person's turn? What about Ricky Starks, Hook, Jungle Boy, Daniel Garcia? How long would we have to wait until they got their time in the spotlight? Turns out, not very long, because in the span of a 2-hour Dynamite last week, Tony Khan decided to say, screw it, we're doing it now. And why not? Ricky Starks has been getting superstar reactions for months, Hook is perpetually over, Jungle Boy has been on this road for the better part of 3 years, and Daniel Garcia has main evented more than anyone else over the past year. All of these directions feel fresh and exciting, but as always, it's the follow-up that's important. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Yes, I will rave about the moments themselves like a dirty little mark, but I'll also ask 2 questions. What happens next, and why now? The only thing we know for sure is that Tony Khan has decided that he's not waiting and that the future is now. If you've been following my channel over the past little while, you've heard me sing the praises of Ricky Starks, and after recent events, only one word comes to mind: validation. Not that it was hard to predict given Ricky's obvious connection to live audiences, and the fact that he's got more charisma in his pinky finger than many wrestlers have in their entire bodies. On this episode of Dynamite, Ricky Starks was baptized as the preeminent face in AEW. Hyperbole? Maybe. But could Ricky become the protagonist of the company? Absolutely. If you watched it, you know, and if you didn't, you can check out the link in the description. Anyway, this was masterful and was one of the most memorable pieces of pro wrestling television that AEW has ever produced. So, Ricky wrestles Danhausen for the FTW title and quickly disposes of Joker Sting meets Gollum. He then grabs the mic and says he's ready for another match right now. Cue Hook and the memory of the previous week in which Ricky did the same thing but delayed the match. But Hook is out in his wrestling gear and oh crap, this is happening now? They have a quick but exhilarating match, Hook wins, the 2 stablemates bump fists, and Ricky cuts the promo of his life before being Marcus Brutus in the back by Powerhouse Hobbs. Truly Shakespearean stuff. So what happens next? Clearly, Ricky and his former partner are on a collision course. Speaking of Powerhouse Hobbs, his development has been rewarding to watch, and he's going to make an awesome foil for the heel-turned crowd favorite Ricky Starks. These guys have helped make each other over the past few months, and they're probably going to continue doing that over the summer and maybe all the way through All Out. So why now? 1. Ricky is over, has been over for ages, is finally healthy, and is clearly a special talent. He just gets it, and his arc from brash young wrestler with a big mouth who just can't win the big one to slightly older brash wrestler who just can't win the big one has had its ups and downs, but with Ricky firing on all cylinders lately, it was time. Also, hey Cody. Yeah, Cody's in WWE, Ricky's a friend of Cody's, and there will be some major future career decisions for Ricky. This recent star turn is hopefully a sign of Tony Khan letting Ricky run with the ball and of bigger and better things being just ahead for him. Because Tony's gonna want to treat this guy well. He's not just a gem, he's the whole goddamn mine, and Tony needs to prioritize keeping this level of talent to help guide his company into the future. Ricky Starks for protagonist of AEW, get on board or don't. I don't care. You're wrong if you don't. Next up, the new FTW champion, Hook. He's cool, he's smooth in the ring, he's over with all the demos, outside of maybe some jealous fans, and he's only 23 years old. That's just not fair. He started as a meme, revealed himself to be a prodigy, and now he's going to get to show what he can do under a bigger spotlight while carrying the title that his father had made. Speaking of his father, that's what you're going to want to keep an eye on next. Yes, Hook is going to have a bunch of FTW title defenses, but it's his relationship with Taz that could be the most interesting thing about this story moving forward. Going back to Shakespeare for a moment, sons typically have ambivalent relationships with their fathers in the Bard's plays. While it would be fine to have a father and son who get along well, support each other during Hook's reign, and maybe even they end up tagging together at some point, in drama, it is typically the son's purpose to either surpass or fall short of his father and his expectations. Am I suggesting a Hook and Taz match down the road? Yeah, I think I am. In terms of why now, Taz looks like he's been getting into leaner shape these days, and what better way for Hook to step out of his father's shadow than by defeating him in physical combat? Because pro wrestling! We need this. I hope you see that now, which means it might not happen. Speaking of dads, Jungle Boy. I'm sorry. So it happened. Jungle Boy responded to Christian and cut the longest, most cursing like a sailor-ish promo that he's ever cut in AEW, and it was pretty good. While I'm not a fan of dropping the hard P word and making a t-shirt out of it just to call someone a coward, I would have taken spineless or gutless piece of shit. Jungle Jack did well here as the crowd reaction showed. I think many of us have been hanging back cautiously, not sure how to feel about JB's promo skills, but it's clear he has grown in confidence and that he and Christian are about to show us why Jungle Boy was called one of AEW's 4 pillars in the first place. It's still unclear what his ceiling is, but right now I could see him becoming a TNT champion and maybe a world champion down the road. It depends what happens with Christian in the next few months and how Jungle Boy's confidence and character continue to develop. Why now? This one is different. AEW has been all aboard the Jungle Boy train since the start, and this is a significant moment in his growth as a character. For the past 3 years, we've watched him put on fantastic matches, win his first championship, and we've cheered him all along the way, but we've rarely gotten a peek at who Jack Perry actually is. 3 years into his career, and at the age of 25, it's about time we started getting some insight into who he is and how high Jungle Boy is capable of climbing. Because he's from the jungle and climbs trees. Okay. Anyway, finally, the Buffalo Brawler who slayed the American Dragon, Daniel Garcia. I'll be the first to say, I didn't get it at first. When he first came into AEW, Daniel Garcia didn't do much for me. He seemed like another technical wrestler with a bit of an attitude, but without much defining character. That was until he became sports entertainer Daniel Garcia, and before he and Wheeler Yuta got personal in their build-up videos for ROH Death Before Dishonor. Now, this guy can make you believe he really wants to hurt someone, he has started to stand out on screen a lot more, and he can go in the ring. In short, he's been developing into a well-rounded performer right in front of our eyes. What's next for Daniel Garcia? With the American Dragon's head on his mantelpiece, the sky's the limit. Just keep putting him up against significant names. Keep giving him mic time. Just keep him in our minds because this guy, do I want to commit to saying it? Yes, this guy could be a main eventer within the next 5 years. And that really does answer the question of why now? By giving the spotlight to Garcia and everyone I've mentioned in this video, Tony Khan is trying to secure the future of his company by keeping his young blue chip talent happy and to hopefully keep them away from the WWE when their contracts are up. Again, this all depends on follow-through because special moments are great, but their impact lessens if what you do next doesn't capitalize on the momentum you've generated for yourself. And it is up to Tony Khan to keep that momentum going and to continue to put the wrestlers he wants to keep in prominent positions so they can be prominent on AEW's posters and at their live events for years to come. But what do you think? Is it too soon for Hook to hold the FTW title? Where would you like to see these wrestlers take their stories in the future? And do you think they'll all choose to re-sign with AEW when their contracts are due? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe so that I can get to 500 subscribers before September. Until next time, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. Vote Ricky Starks for the protagonist of AEW.